Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to National Housing Day. Thank you for taking the time to be here to learn about our announcement. Today, I'm joined by Gord Johnson, who's the CEO of Sevita, Nancy Siemens, who is the CEO of Heartland Housing Foundation, and Irene Martin-Lindsay, who's the Executive Director of Alberta Seniors and Community Housing Association. These are all very key partners to the province in our work to help Albertans in need of having access to safe, secure, and affordable housing. First of all, I'd like to quickly also thank the Heartland Housing Foundation for hosting us here in their beautiful facility in Sherwood Park at the Silver Birch Lodge. I also, as I said in my opening remarks, want to recognize that it's National Housing Day and reiterate Alberta's commitment to finding innovative and creative solutions to increasing housing supply in our province. It is a day that provides us the opportunity to reflect on housing needs here in Alberta. Alberta's government remains steadfast in our goal to ensure Albertans most in need have access to housing options that make sense for them. And we are making progress. Since 2019, Alberta's government has invested almost $850 million to build more than 5,100 units of housing and over 900 shelter spaces. Budget 2024 also committed to an additional $840 million over the next 3 years towards affordable housing initiatives, which will ultimately create more than 5,000 units. We also recently just announced another $112 million towards innovative interim housing solutions for Jasper residents who are impacted by the tragic fire in their community. We continue to see record highs in residential construction across the province as we aim to increase supply and stabilize the cost of market housing. In fact, here in Alberta, we have seen recently nearly 38,000 housing starts this year, which is a 34% increase from the previous year. The reality is, though, that while Alberta is having success, we recognize that there are still many struggling to find housing and to meet their needs, which is why we know there's more that needs to be done. Which brings me to my announcement today. I am pleased to announce that the Alberta Affordable Housing Partnership Program is opening for the next round of applications, with up to $150 million available in funding to support new affordable housing projects in our province. Applications will open today and will be open until January 31st, 2025. The Affordable Housing Partnership Program encourages creativity and innovation and supports a range of housing options, including specialized housing, mixed income housing, and mixed use housing. The program's emphasis on building partnership between housing providers, nonprofits, and multiple governments has enabled us to maximize investments in affordable housing. Since the program was launched in 2022, Alberta's government has been able to invest approximately $189 million to support over 1,500 housing units and over 300 shelter spaces in 15 communities. Some successful project examples include $14.7 million towards Sevita's Lenrim mixed housing development in Edmonton, $4 million towards Rocky View Foundation to support the conversion of a hotel into seniors housing in Airdrie, and $4 million towards Fresh Start Recovery Centre in Calgary. These are just a couple of the projects and show you the variety of the programs that are supported through the Alberta Affordable Housing Program. They represent a major investment by Albertans in our communities to help meet the housing needs of hundreds of individuals, seniors, and families. And funding available during this new intake makes it the largest round of funding Alberta has ever offered through the Affordable Housing Program. Alberta's government is making major investments to build new homes, improve existing affordable housing, and deliver programs that improve access to housing. And through long-term collaboration with nonprofits, housing providers, and communities, we will ensure that we can deliver new, innovative, and sustainable housing solutions. National Housing Day reminds us that housing is more than just a roof over our head. It is a home, a place to build lives, a place to build memories, and a place to raise our families. Stable housing gives people the chance to secure employment, support their families, live comfortably, and contribute to their communities. We know there is not a one-size-fits-all solution for all, but by working together, we can find the right solutions to meet Albertans' unique needs. I'm excited about this announcement, excited to hear the projects that will come from it. And with that, I'd like to introduce you to my friend, Gord Johnson, the CEO of Sevita, to say a few words about our announcement today. Gord?
I always have to lower the microphone. I'm just going to move this aside too. Thank you. So thank you again, Minister Nixon, and good afternoon all. As the Minister said, I'm Gord Johnson. I'm the CEO of an amazing affordable housing organization called Sevita. It is an honor to be here on National Housing Day as we mark transformative investments into affordable and supportive housing across the province. I'm pleased to be here alongside my colleagues. The Alberta government's investment into affordable and seniors housing across the province is so incredibly important. As an affordable housing provider, we at Sevita are fortunate to witness every day the transformative power of affordable housing for the over 23,000 Albertans that we serve through our homes and our rental assistance programs on an everyday basis. Every home we build and manage represents a story, a family finding stability, a senior living with dignity, or a newcomer planting roots in Alberta. Beyond shelter, the more than 5,300 housing units we are privileged to manage are the building blocks behind better health outcomes, greater educational opportunities, economic stability, and stronger, more inclusive communities. Last year, as Minister alluded to, Sevita was fortunate to receive $14.7 million through the Alberta Affordable Housing Program, which was invested into our new transit-oriented housing development, Lendrum, benefiting the close to 400 people who now call Sevita Lendrum home. This funding enabled us to offer 120 modern, state-of-the-art housing units at substantively lower than market rents in perpetuity for those in need. To illustrate the impact of this development, which is steps away from the South Campus Fort Edmonton Park LRT station, a one-bedroom suite at Lendrum, which includes in-suite laundry, modern appliances, underground bicycle and vehicle parking, as well as an on-site daycare center, rents for approximately $950 per month, about $500 less than the average market rent. Investments such as the AHPP are a crucial step toward ensuring that every Albertan has the foundation that they need to thrive. We at Sevita are incredibly grateful for the Alberta government's ongoing commitment to affordable housing. So thank you very much to the government of Alberta, Minister Nixon, and all of our partners in community for your dedication to building communities where every individual, regardless of their circumstances, has a place to call home. I'd now like to introduce one of my housing colleagues, Nancy Simmons, the CEO of Heartland Housing Foundation, also to say a few words.
Even further down. Thank you, Gord, and thank you, Minister Nixon, and my colleagues for the privilege of being here today on National Housing Day to support this announcement. I am Nancy Simmons. I'm the CEO for Heartland Housing Foundation, and the Affordable Housing Partnership Program is an essential funding source for housing providers like Heartland Housing Foundation as we aim to meet the great and growing need for affordable housing in the communities that we serve. Our organization serves Strathcona County and Fort Saskatchewan, and we know from our growing wait lists that hundreds of households in our service area are paying far more than they can afford in the rental market that has a vacancy rate of less than 1% and some of the highest rents in the region. The HPP program is a crucial part of how the province, alongside other levels of government, enabling housing providers like us to meet the growing demand for affordable housing options. We are immensely appreciative of the increased investment this government is making in the future of housing for all Albertans. And we thank Minister Nixon for letting us be a part of this important announcement. I'd like to now invite my friend and colleague, Irene Martin, the Executive Director from the Alberta Seniors Community and Housing Association.
Well, thank you very much, Minister Nixon, and of course, my colleagues for being here on this big day, which is National Housing Day. And on, behalf of our president, James Nyberg, and I do also want to note that Nancy Simmons is also vice president of our Association for the North Region. And, all of our members, we are very grateful for this critical capital investment, which will provide more homes for Albertans who simply can't afford market options. We are experiencing unprecedented growth. In 1 year, our population surged over 4%, higher than the Canadian average, which added over 200,000 new residents to our province. This rapid influx intensifies the demand for housing, especially affordable housing. In 2022, the most recent year this information was collected, over 170,000 Alberta households were in core housing need. To meet this demand, we must create thousands of new affordable housing units a year. And this is achievable in a province that is demonstrating its, capacity with 52,000 new housing starts. So we represent and support members such as Sevita and Heartland Housing, who serve well over 100,000 Albertans in a range of housing settings. Our members are deeply connected to their communities. They know the local needs and have really innovative solutions to meet their housing and support needs. However, developing below market and deeply subsidized housing options for lower income Albertans requires the government's support and partnership, which is why this investment is so welcome. So we have an affordable housing task force with representation from our members, Alberta municipalities, and the rural municipalities of Alberta, and we have recommended solutions to continue to enhance and target important investments through this partnership program. Investments in community housing not only supports Albertans in need of housing, but could boost our GDP by up to $30.5 billion between now and 2030, if we reach a target of 7% of total housing being community housing. We thank Minister Nixon and his team for this investment and their continued leadership. We are here to work with the government and our partners to create innovative solutions that allow more Albertans to live in housing that honors their dignity, serves their needs, and inspires purpose in their chosen community. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We'll now open it up to questions from the media. There's the microphone at the back. Reminder to please state your name and outlet, and we'll be taking one question and one follow-up.
Very far back.
I can see you.
Hi, Theodora. I'm with Sherwood Park News. So I have two questions. The first is there a number set aside specifically that you can tell us of how much is going towards this initiative?
Towards the affordable housing initiative. This is just, as I said in my remarks, we have, since the program started in 2022, the Alberta government has invested $189 million in that program. This announcement today is $150 million of new money on top of that $189 million. So between now and 2022, so just, I guess, what's that, 2.5 years or so, we've been able to do both those announcements together. Doing the whole $150 million at once would be the biggest round that we've ever done. Usually we've done that probably about half as much. The reality is that we continue to see this program oversubscribed. It's been very successful. And so we'd rather begin to move some of that cash as early as possible to build these projects. So, specifically though, where else in the province some of these projects will end up, we'll have to see as the applications come in. The effort will be made though, again, based on need of what is coming in, based on speed of the project, shovel readiness of the project, the turnaround of that investment of both taxpayer and the organizations that will be involved are all part of the factors that will go into the final decisions. I also think it's really important is to show the variety of housing projects that we impact with this program. I chose in my remarks the 3 projects that I chose because it really shows seniors housing, affordable housing inside some of our largest communities, but also post and pre-drug treatment housing, some of the work that we're trying to do in that area. So this is really designed to focus on housing on the affordability side and to support our great nonprofits with the programs that they need to be able to build to continue to increase capacity.
Wonderful. My follow-up for that would be, as it is, National Housing Day, is there anything in your ministry in the works with regards to rent capping, anything to control kind of the prices that keep growing?
We get asked about rent caps a lot. I understand why. The reality is that we've seen in other jurisdictions, including our jurisdiction, where governments chose to go down the road of rent caps, that we actually just ended up in a situation where we ended up seeing long-term rents go up, and more importantly, the supply, the construction of new units go down. What we need to do is we have to really focus on making sure that we increase supply while helping those who are struggling to pay rent. And rather than do that through rent caps, we're doing that in two different ways. One is we're really focusing on building more units. The Alberta this past month in October was responsible for 22% of new residential construction in the country. We're 12% of the population, so it shows you how significant the effort is in our province to continue to make more units, while simultaneously investing in good affordable housing projects and the rent supplements that my department then provides to be able to make sure that we can pay for those units. The Department of Seniors, Community and Social Services, for example, is investing $250 million right now in rent supplements on top of the work that we do to be able to supplement seniors and others with fixed incomes. And so we find that's a better way to focus right now, to be able to help deal with rent challenges and not accidentally make the challenge worse. And, you know, the other thing I think I would mention in that context is that we're seeing that plan start to work. I mean, last month we saw rent in Calgary go down by 4.7%, which is a significant number. We've just seen vacancy rates in Edmonton double since that process is taking place. That's not to diminish that we're still seeing pressures within the housing market, but I think it's emphasizing that the path that the provincial government is taking is seeing results and that we should stick to it.
Leo from City News Edmonton. With the recent announcement for this one, is this basically addressing for the affordable housing with because of the growing population as well in Alberta? Is this going to be like playing catch up with the population, or are we having a good progress in building houses versus like the growing population of the province?
Look, there's no doubt that the population challenge that we faced in this province has compounded the overall housing challenges that everybody's facing in Canada. We've seen over 200,000 people move here last year. Anytime you see that level of migration into a province, you're going to see challenges not only in housing, but across the social services sector and elsewhere. So, you know, we would have had a housing challenge in our province with or without migration, but certainly migration has compounded this. And what has made that even more of a challenge is despite the pressures that we face as a province, we still remain the most affordable jurisdiction in the country. Edmonton and Calgary are the most affordable large cities in the world still on any list. That's significant. So more people are coming here just because of that affordability advantage, which is putting pressure on the overall system. I was saying earlier when I was meeting with some housing providers that just over 2 years, about 2 years ago, we were short 22,000 units of housing. We're now short about 150,000 units of housing. So it's significant. That said, the plan that has been put in place in partnership with great organizations like you see up here today and our municipality partners, we're well on our way to creating 82,000 more affordable households in our province. We have seen residential construction rates increase by 34% this year. We have the most starts in the history of the province. We have 1/3 of our residential constructions are now purpose-built rentals, which is critical to stabilizing the rent market. And we just completed almost 10,000 new apartment units in the province, the most in the history of the province. So we're seeing the work take place and the results of investments like this.
And one more question is, Alberta also invested for operation of homeless shelter about $180 million. Is this also part of like the program to help homeless shelter, especially with the winter going on, their safety, as well as having shelters at the season?
So this money is different than the money that we invest in shelters. But shelters are a key part of the overall process as we work towards being able to provide housing to people facing homelessness. The province spends a significant amount of money, as you mentioned, on shelter programs. You know, by the time we work on specifically some of our hard-to-house funding programs through our community-based organizations like Homeward Trust and the Homeless Foundation, as well as the direct investments that my department puts into homeless shelters every year, we're getting well north of $200 million probably in that total investment, so it's significant, but it's separate from this. What I will say is this, is that the Alberta government, together with our partners, particularly in our largest cities, have been able to put in the largest emergency shelter capacity in the history of the province. Edmonton was way behind a year ago. We were asked by the city of Edmonton to really put a lot of effort into that. We've accomplished that. Our shelter system remains below capacity. It will remain below capacity. It is ready for whatever will come at it this year. We have the ability to surge if we need to, though we do not believe that we will need to, but we're ready in case. And so we find ourselves in a good spot this year because we can deal with the emergency need in our largest cities, which is important, which then allows us to get back focusing on what the main objective of the department needs to be, which is figuring out how to house people. Before we were able to accomplish this, we always ended up having to divert so much attention just to get through some of the cold months because we didn't have a stable long-term shelter program like we do now. So we're in a good spot this year. We're excited about it. And I do want to also emphasize the investment of the government to take those shelters to 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, which means that they're in a good place to be able to help support us on housing. I do want to take one other comment on the overall homeless file now that because you're asking. We recognize that this challenge that we see when it comes to the homeless population has grown a lot bigger than the traditional 7 largest cities in our province. And so in the past, when we have spoken about this, the work of the province has been focused on the 7 largest cities. But we are starting to see significant homeless challenges for a variety of reasons in places like where I represent, Rocky Mountain House, or Wetaskiwin, or Ponoka, in smaller communities in the province. And so we just have announced moving more money to be able to help some of those rural areas in the same ways that we've helped in the large cities. And I will foreshadow that you can anticipate an announcement for me shortly in partnership with the federal government on how we're going to continue to invest to be able to tackle the issue of encampments in a very productive and compassionate way to care for people who are facing homelessness.
Thank you. We'll now move to the phones. To ask a question, please ensure you are not on speakerphone when using your keypad and press star 1 to enter the queue. If you press star 1 before the media avail begin, please press it again. Operator, can you please put through our first caller?
Next question, Michelle Bellefontaine, CBC News. Hi there, Minister. I want to ask you some additional questions out of this week's Auditor General report. So we were told in a statement from your ministry that the government is investing $121 million over 3 years, or $40 million a year, to maintain and repair government-owned housing across Alberta. But the Auditor General report said in 1 year, which was 22-23, housing operators submitted 3,400 requests to the government totaling $333 million. 215 requests totaling $31 million were approved. So that suggests that the government isn't doing enough to update its existing social housing. So how do you respond to that? Will your minister put more money into this type of housing so people and their families have safe and warm places to live?
Yeah, and that's why we have already put more money into it. So the numbers that the Auditor General referred to predate this fiscal year, frankly, predate my time as a minister. We reviewed reports that we got in the merger of seniors and housing and community and social services into one ministry. At that time, it became clear that there needed to be significant work when it came to capital maintenance and renewal. We have been working closely with our housing partners on that because that issue is not just, frankly, for the housing stock the province is responsible for, but some of the challenges that our providers face. The Auditor General is correct. In the fiscal year 22-2023, the investment ended up with about 2,200 units that were able to be fixed in that fiscal year. I increased that investment to over $120+ million in the following fiscal year. We're on track to get closer to almost 5,000 units. That will be able to be repaired in this upcoming fiscal year. We've committed to the industry that we're going to come forward with a long-term maintenance plan that results in significant capital maintenance and renewal dollars each and every year until we can get caught up. The reality is that this is not a short-term challenge. This will take many years for us to be able to get there. We have to balance the need of fixing existing units with building existing or new units simultaneously. We're pretty confident in the plan that we got coming forward. Further to that, we also just finished an RFP and we'll be awarding it soon for an organization to come in and build with the entire industry in our department a clear long-term maintenance strategy for how we will handle capital maintenance and renewals when it comes to our housing supply in the future. So we agree with the Auditor General. We agreed with him before his report, and that's why we already started to take action on this important issue.
Okay, thanks. As a follow-up, so I was directed to a summary of an internal review of the capital maintenance and renewal program done by your government in 22-23 to show how the government is meeting the Auditor General's recommendations. I should say I wasn't given the full report. I was just given a summary, but I do have some questions. The report recommends the government develop, implement, and distribute additional project planning criteria to housing providers when they make their requests. So I want to know what the additional criteria are and how will projects be assessed uniformly so the highest priority projects in terms of safety and human health are prioritized by government?
So that will be the work that will be done by the organization we're bringing in through the RFP process in partnership with the industry, where we establish a clear criteria. That's what both the Auditor General and my department have said that we want to do. And a result of that work, we'll come back with clear criteria for us and our industry, our nonprofit partners who care for housing. And that will feed into what will ultimately become that long-term capital maintenance and renewal strategy. So this is multiple fold. You have to continue to increase investments. You got to balance it between what construction capacity is. The reality is that we couldn't even do all the capital maintenance and renewal in 1 year. We would not have enough trades. And so we have to look at criteria based on priority and have a long-term plan that makes sure that we can get there. And I'm pretty confident that the work that the department's doing is going to get us to there, to a very credible plan, and ultimately is going to continue to create more units.
That concludes today's news conference. Thank you, everybody.